congratulations on Escape the Field. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, it's a fun one.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Why don't you sort of set up the premise a little bit for people who are interested in seeing the film?
Sure. So it's a thriller horror type of film, but it's very character driven. Essentially about six strangers who wake up in the middle of a cornfield that seems to go on forever. They have no idea how they got there. They were not there when they went to sleep, when they last remember being awake. And basically they each have an item and they have to figure out whether to trust each other, whether to work together, and how to use this item to essentially get out of the field. But they're also being hunted by some sort of unseen evil. And they have to get out with their lives, basically.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about your character. I mean, she's pretty central to the film. What she's facing, and a little bit about your working with Theo Rossi and his character in the film.
Yeah, so basically Theo he plays Tyler, the first character that Sam meets when she wakes up. And so she instantly decides that he's untrustworthy and that he must have been the one that dropped her here. So they start out kind of at odds with each other, but it's really interesting because I think the film does a really great job of showing the us and them sort of dynamic when you're in a situation like this and you just don't know whether you're safe, who to trust, and figuring out who's on your side and who's not. My character, Sam, she's a trauma surgeon. She basically solves problems for a living. She's used to managing a lot of people. She's a team player. She's extremely intelligent, quick on her feet, does well in emergencies, a total leader. And so she's kind of been primed for this her whole life. She leads a bit of a solitary life outside of work. And I see her as like a very lonely person. So she has to learn to trust and let people in and to kind of face the things I think she's been avoiding her whole life.
Yeah, and she creates a bit of a kinship with Theo's character. And talk about how that develops over the course of the film.
Yeah, so I think despite the fact that it goes against her nature and everyone's nature in this situation to want to trust these strangers, it's a necessity in order to survive. So I think despite the fact that their first meeting is anything but pleasant, they sort of develop a friendship and a trust and a bond that carries throughout the film. All these things are going on around them and they're just kind of rolling with it. But I think they start to really care about each other. And I saw Sam as sort of like realizing that there's another way to live, like letting someone in and building this relationship. And it becomes really about saving everyone else, which is what she does, in her job, but especially him. I think realizing he has a daughter, realizing that they have a really tight bond, and maybe seeing life beyond this field if they can get out together.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that's interesting about the film is it sort of challenges your idea of like what's scary and what like a thriller should really be. And so I thought that was interesting, and I wanted to know from you what you found to be the scariest part of what the scenes that you shot, and what in real life do you find to be scary and thrilling?
Good question. I think the unknown is always really scary, especially when you're somewhere that you're not familiar with. The mystery is often scarier than the reality. The anticipation is often what is so great about these horror films, because if you don't know what's going to happen, your mind kind of runs away with itself. So definitely, I think it's terrifying from the first second the movie begins, because what's more terrifying than being dropped somewhere and not knowing how you got there and not knowing how to get out and not having your phone on you even, you're completely isolated. And then you're meeting all these people and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And so I think it's terrifying from the first moment, but it really ramps up once they realize that there's something vicious and violent that's also in the corn with them. So I think once they have that first encounter and they realize that, they're essentially being hunted, it starts to really pick up speed. As for my real life, so I'm from Bermuda, and
oh wow, Bermuda Triangle.
Yes, well, the triangle's scary. No, the triangle. I mean, thus far, knock on wood, no issues with the triangle. Fine home for 2 weeks, so pray for me. Cockroaches. that is like my nemesis. Like I could like, oh, even thinking about them, it's like I would like the fear factor thing. Like there's a lot that I could handle. I know I can push myself, but if cockroaches were involved, no, I would not be leaving that field. If it was a giant cockroach hunting me, I would probably just not survive.
No, I'm the same way about snakes. It's like I can't even look.
Oh yeah.
I can't even. I
Yeah.
used to like cut the pictures out of the dictionary of snakes because I couldn't
You
see.
couldn't even see them. You're like, this will
Yeah,
derail my entire day.
um,
No.
don't give me a book with snakes in them.
Yeah.
Anyway, talk about your experience with the cast, and was there kind of a moment, if you look back on this experience 10 years from now, that you would say like, wow, that was the thing that was like the thing I really remember about this experience of shooting this film?
Oh, honestly, every moment. Like I had so much fun on this film. I just adore each and every one of the cast members. We had so much fun. I mean, just the scenes. I love the scenes themselves. They're such a joy to work with. Everybody's so talented, and I think just knocked it out of the park with their characters. And then off camera, we had a lot of fun with each other. I mean, that's the stuff that I like really remember is the bonding, the playing pranks on each other. We did a lot of
Oh,
that.
what pranks did you get to?
Oh man. So you
You
probably
tell.
won't even find
That's a
this
good one.
funny. So Theo and I, after like we probably were so sleep deprived by this point, and it just made it even funnier. We were shooting this scene, and it was lots of hours in the corn, and we're just kind of passing time, and we somehow got on the topic of like how awkward it is when when a bunch of people are singing happy birthday to you, and you're just kind of like waiting for the song to end, and it's like super awkward. And we were like, oh, how funny would it be to prank someone where it's not their birthday, but everyone's singing happy birthday to them. And we were like, Tahira, it's gotta be Tahira, because she has like the greatest sense of humor and the greatest laugh, and we just love her. And so we arranged for this giant cake with her headshot printed on it to be made with like, it said, happy birthday Tahira, we appreciate you. I spent hours like back and forth with the cake company. We had the cake delivered. We started spreading the word, was Tahira's birthday, like her birthday had been like 4 months prior or something. And then like, when we broke for lunch one day, everyone came out and they're all singing to her, and she was like horrified. She's, it's not my birthday. Like it was, I mean, Theo and I like were crying laughing like when we thought of the idea. And I was like, again, the sleep deprivation, but it was like I just remember it. I still think about it and I burst out laughing, and she hates us for it, but she loved it.